to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall, Psychic, all the way from the Gold Coast. I hope you've had an absolutely fantastic week wherever you are in this planet of ours. It's been an interesting week here in Australia as all the politicians are sort of starting their political campaign, which isn't official yet, but it's the unofficial, official campaign that's already started. So it's time to turn the telly off, I think. So wherever you are in this world of ours, I'm sure you've had your own trials and tribulations locally. And of course, we can't not start the show without sending our prayers and our thoughts and our positive energy as much as we can to Ukraine. This is absolutely disgraceful what's happening with Russia. There is no words for it. There is no excuses. Human life is being lost and mothers and babies and it just breaks my heart. There is absolutely no need for it. But anyway, let's go on to a more positive note and let's look at the Simply Tarot card of the week. And this week I'm going to say it's going to be everybody's favourite card because it's the card of the Six of Pentacles. It's the raise in money or salary. Now, I hear a lot of you say, oh, well, that's not going to apply to me. I'm not going to have any extra money. The boss is not going to give me a raise. But it's sometimes just a matter of us reorganising our own personal finances, that we've got more in control, that we've got a little bit more to play with, or we really feel that we're starting to get somewhere. And for most people around the world that are on a fixed limited income and you're trying to stretch every amount of money to go as far as you can, you sort of think to yourself, well, that's not possible. But sometimes I think we overlook the simplest things in life where we can cut, not so much cut corners, but, we do waste things, and particularly money in some ways. Just simple things like rechecking your utility bills or your cell phone or your phone bill, things like that. Can I get a better deal? Can I save myself some money? And that would then come under the heading of this card, a raise in money or salary, because it would mean that we'd have a little bit more money in the budget to play with, whether it's weekly, monthly or yearly. So let's look for some ways of saving some money or not spending as much in this coming 7 days. Look at, before you go shopping, get a list. Don't just buy because you're there and you see it, you think, oh, I haven't got that, I better buy one of them. And you get home, you've got 3 in the cupboard. So let's just sort of look at some ways of making money work for us a lot more. Because in these very difficult times where we've all had such interruption to the way that we earn money during COVID and things like that. I think it's important now that COVID is supposedly settling down around the world, that we can now start to focus back on the things that are important to us and bringing our lives more into balance. And part of that is money and how we spend money on a weekly basis. Okay, so we're going to dive straight into the astrology section. Each week it seems to be, becoming more and more important. And I say each week, thank you to everybody that inboxes me and tells me how much that this is really an integral part of their week. And before I go any further, I do have an actual Facebook page set up that just has all the shows. All the shows that I've done in the last nearly 5 years are there in one location. So if you head to that, it's called the Amanda Hall Psychic Show page. So you'll find that, and you can go back and binge and watch any show that you might have previously missed or one that was one of your favourites. So, okay, this week we've got a real emphasis of everything sitting in Pisces because we are in the Pisces time of the year. And unfortunately, it's coming to a close. We've only got another 5 or 6 days of the Pisces energy. And I say unfortunately because it's a time of the year that I sort of feel we can breathe a little sigh of relief. We've started the new calendar year. We're coming to the end of the astrological year. And it's just a magical sort of time where, most of us sort of tend to want to sort of get into our creative energy a little bit more. Some of us might want to sit in front of the telly and watch some good movies. Other people want to listen to music. Some people might want to paint or just sort of, start to be a little bit more creative in their lives. And it's just a time where we can catch our breath, I think. But anyway, we've got Mercury, the planet of communication, is holding hands or conjunct Jupiter in Pisces. Now, Mercury is the planet of where we get our communication from. And that includes all forms of communication, whether it's your cell phone, whether it's a fax message or a text message or a verbal conversation. Now, when he's holding hands or conjunct Jupiter, the planet of expansion and opportunity, it's asking us to put our creative thinking caps on. It's a time where we might get some really bright ideas, some innovative information that might come through a conversation or having a coffee with someone or having a chat with them on the phone. Listen very carefully to what's coming out of your mouth. Listen very carefully to what's coming out of their mouth. There might just be a shred of an idea here that's something that we could sort of start to develop. It might be a new opportunity as far as work or a new hobby or something like that that's going to bring us pleasure. It could be a new money-making venture, and it could just be something that we've never thought about doing before and we know it's going to bring us great pleasure. So, it doesn't always have to be, when we talk about Jupiter, the planet of expansion, an opportunity, it doesn't always have to be an opportunity to make money. Sometimes it can just be a purely selfish opportunity that makes us smile, and there's nothing wrong with that. We haven't had enough to smile about in the last few years, so anything that can make you smile, I think, is a good thing. So we have a lot of creative energy, as I said, around us at the moment. That's just one part of it. We also have Neptune, the ruling planet of Pisces, is conjunct the Sun at the moment. Now, with Neptune being first and the Sun being second in the conjunction, what it basically means is Neptune is showing us the way that the fog that we've been in, the creative energy that we might have been in for many people, and I'm including all signs with this, have felt like that there hasn't been enough clarity for the answers that we've been seeking. Some of us have had a glimmer of hope, that we've had a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel or the fog, and we're starting to see the way out. For other people, it's still in the distance, but it's a time where I think we need to be aware of the ideas, the thoughts, the things that are coming into our mind, even if they might seem trivial. Why am I dredging up things from the past? Why is something that happened 20 years ago coming back into my mind? It may just very well be to get you to pay attention, that, they've got your attention with some old useless piece of information. Look at what comes behind it, or look at the thread of where it's taking you to. A song on the radio can take you off down memory lane, and it can lead on to many, many different layers that then lead back to the present. So be very aware of that, because Neptune here is trying to clear a lot of stuff out from our past, but is also showing us that this is the way that he can get us to take notice of what's happening. And it's sort of like follow the dots. It's like connect the dots, and that then leads you to the prize at the end. So there could be some very great creative breakthroughs in the next 7 days. So make sure you have some way of recording those, whether it be on your cell phone or the old-fashioned way with pad and pen. Whichever way works for you is fine. It's just a matter of not losing those creative thought bubbles when they happen, because if you're anything like me, it comes into your mind and it goes back out again unless you write it down, because we are so busy. We have so many things to deal with in our day-to-day lives that we don't always retain everything. We also have Mars, the planet of action. Now we're moving into the sign of Aquarius. We've got Mars, the planet of action, conjunct or holding hands Venus in Aquarius. Now, I'm going to say to you, to me, this sort of leans towards what I've just been talking about with Neptune conjunct the Sun in Pisces, because Mars conjunct Venus in Aquarius is Mars is giving us the action or the direction or the drive to bring into our lives the things that give us pleasure, because Venus is the planet of love and affection, and it's also the things that give us pleasure in our lives. Now, with it sitting in the sign of Aquarius, it's telling us that we could have a light bulb moment, that we could have a moment there where things sort of happen very, very quickly, things that we weren't expecting. It can also be that our loved ones or the people that are important to us, that are special in our lives, might come to us with a unique problem or a unique suggestion, something we'd never thought of, something that takes us by surprise. So whatever it may be, just make sure that you have an open mind, that you don't always look at things in a negative, that you look at things in very much a positive, because there needs to be different ways of looking at things in our lives at the moment. We need to be open to suggestion. We need to be open to opportunity. And sometimes opportunities come to us in the strangest or the most unusual ways, in ways we weren't expecting. So I think it's going to be quite an exciting week if you keep your eyes and your ears open and you keep your mind open that anything's possible. Then you may be very pleasantly surprised with some of the things that cross your path in the next 7 days, whether it be in conversations or whether it just be you absorbing something or seeing something for the first time, even though it might have been under your nose before this. It's the first time that it's caught your attention. So there can be many, many things that are happening in our lives at the moment that we need to be sort of very aware of. We also still have Saturn, the planet of discipline, sitting in Aquarius, but he's not holding hands with anyone. So basically, what Saturn's doing is he's sort of sitting there and stabilizing everything. If you can imagine everything being a little bit out of balance, in comes Saturn and he sort of just levels everything out. He gives it a stability factor, which we could do with a little bit of stability at the moment in our personal lives. I feel there's just so much going on in the world that, you turn on the news, whether it be local or whether it be world events, and you sort of almost sort of think, wow, is there ever anything happy happening? There's always some drama, some conflict, something that we have to be aware of, some new virus that's going around the planet. There never seems to be any feel-good stories. So it's nice to have, Saturn still sitting in Aquarius, sort of smoothing the ruffled waters a little bit so that we can all start to breathe a little bit easier. And I think that's really important because we just seem to have been going from one crisis to another, particularly in this last couple of years with COVID, where nothing has ever been guaranteed. As we start to open something up, then something else seems to spring a leak over here, and we've got a different set of rules and regulations. And it's like, will we ever get back to normal as we knew it 2 years ago? I don't know that. I wish I could answer that. I know here in Australia, we've lifted a lot of our restrictions and we're opening up more and more as each day passes to the rest of the world. But I still sort of err on the side of caution that are we moving too fast? Are we just all so sick of COVID that we just want to fling the doors open and say, let's get back to normal life? What will be the consequences? What will be the price we have to pay for our impatience? And, the ability to sort of want everything to go back to normal because we're sick of it. We still see COVID raging around the world in many nations, that it's getting worse than it's ever been, even though they keep trying to tell us that, we're beating this pandemic. I just want to reserve judgment on that. I just think you need to sort of look at your own personal responsibility for what works for you. You don't necessarily need to sort of be the same as the person next door or your friends or your family. Make decisions for you and your family. What feels right to you? What's the level of risk you're prepared to take? What do you feel prepared to be able to book a holiday and go and visit people? That's a very personal thing. And I think there's far too much pressure at the moment for other people trying to put ideas in our head saying, oh, everything's going to be fine. It's going to be this, that, and the other. If you don't personally feel comfortable, I think you need to sort of look at that and sort of address your own feelings, your own thoughts, and follow that. And that's part of what I've been talking about with all the Pisces energy and the Aquarian energy, is sometimes we do have to think outside the square. Sometimes we do have to be the person that says, hang on a minute, I'm not the follower, I'm the leader. I can make the decisions for myself and I'll do what feels right to me. So, as long as you follow your gut, that's your psychic ability. I don't believe we make mistakes then. We make the best decisions that we can make at that time, that in the direction that we need it to be. And, what a decision we make today, which feels right today, may not be right tomorrow or next week or in 6 months' time. We reserve the right to modify, change, or change direction if need be. So just be aware of that. We also have, we still have Pluto sitting in Capricorn trying to transform everything. I mean, Pluto will be there till 2024. Let's hope Pluto can do some magic and bring this Ukraine situation to a very sudden end in a positive way, that people can get back to their lives and start rebuilding their lives in peace and harmony. We're going to talk with Evelyn in Visalia in California, and I'm sure I probably pronounced that wrong, Evelyn. How are you, Evelyn? How can I help you?
Hi, I'm Visalia, but yeah, it's a difficult name to pronounce.
Yes, it is. But I'm not familiar with all your names of your suburbs and places in the USA. You have a question I can work with, please, Evelyn?
Just want to know what Spirit says, what advice I could do for my brother. He's currently ill, and I just feel like I want to help him, but I don't know how, and I want the best for him. And I'm constantly worrying about him. He's older than me. His name's David. He's 44.
Right. So why are you constantly worried about him? Is it your gut feeling, or is there been situations there that have presented themselves that give you reason to worry, or is it a combination of both, sweetie?
I think it's the fear of death, of the fear of him dying and me losing him.
Right. But is there any reason for you to feel that way?
Well, he is sick.
Okay. Look, many things can happen in our lives that sometimes put us into a tailspin, things that we don't quite understand, and they can be fears, and they can sometimes be very valid, and sometimes we don't understand why we've got them. What I'm picking up around you at the moment, Evelyn, you are in a process of change. Now, change is one of those ambiguous words. People say, oh, we're all in change. Well, we're all constantly changing, but for you at the moment, it's like it's very heightened. It's like things sort of seem to be almost raw. If I said to you, here's an apple, you'd say to me, okay, well, that's not a normal apple size. It's twice the size of an apple, because that's how you're seeing it, or that's how you're feeling it. And I'm not saying to you that that's wrong. I'm saying to you, just be aware that everything seems to be amplified around you at the moment. I don't feel that there's anything untoward or anything horrible that's going to happen to you or the people that you care about, particularly your loved ones. I feel that there is change, and I think part of this is change that's going to take you into some uncharted territory, into some areas that you may not have thought about or may not have planned. But when it all settles down, I think it's going to end up being much, much better for you, because I feel that it's like, I use the word the universe, but the universe to me is our spirit guides, it's us, it's sort of what we came here to learn. It's a collection of things. You're being guided by the universe to where you need to be. So for them to be able to do that, sometimes they have to amplify things so that we don't miss it, we don't ignore it, that it's too lifelike, that we have to deal with it, and we have to overcome our feelings, or we have to overcome our fears, or we have to overcome, why am I feeling that way? And that's all part of the journey, because it makes us up as a unique sort of person. If there's one thing I can suggest to you, Evelyn, in all the years I've been doing this sort of work, anytime that we as human beings face something or go through something, whether it's good or whether it's not so good, whether it's a happy event or even if it's a tragedy in our lives, it amplifies everything for a short period of time after that. And it's like everything seems larger than life, and anything that might have been a slight fear or a slight concern or a slight joy becomes very amplified. So don't ignore that, just work with it. I just know that there's good things coming for you, and I'm going to say to you, from the month of April, it's like you can finally start to see where all the hard work that you've been doing is starting to pay off. It's starting to sort of become really very, very clear. So were you planning a move of residence about the middle of this year?
I've thought about moving. It's just right now real estate in California it's outrageous. And I've always wanted to live, but I think I fear that I'm not able to afford it, because we're talking about $3,000-4,000 a month where I want to live, and that's that's outrageous. That's pretty much
Absolutely
unaffordable for me.
I agree with you. That is totally outrageous. But the reason I asked whether you were planning on a move, because they were showing me the opportunity there for a move in June, that I'm going to say again, even though it may not be the wonderful place that you'd like to live at that outrageous price per month, but there may be something else that crosses your path around then that you think, oh, that could be good. That could be interesting. Maybe I better explore this a little bit more. It's not saying you definitely have to take the opportunity up. What it's saying to you is you're going to be presented with other alternatives to what you know as being normal at the moment. So each one of those, as they come along, like the move, give it airtime, talk it over, look at it, look at the potential. Is it right? Is it wrong? Is it something I'd want to do? And then make your decisions from that. But there's going to be, I think, some really good things coming your way this year, Evelyn. So please don't get so cranky with yourself about, fears and phobias sort of, keeping you alert. It's all part of the changes that are coming up. But I know you've got a good year ahead of you. Anyway, that's where we're going to leave Evelyn now. We're going to talk with Liz in Green Bay in Wisconsin. Are you there, Liz?
Yes, I am.
Do you have a question I can work with, please, Liz?
Yes. Where do you see my family and my future coming?
When do I see your
My family coming forward?
family?
Like, you see, my But you see me getting back with my family, so meaning my husband, and I have my girls already, but to see
Right.
improvements here.
Okay. So you're hoping to sort of reconnect, reunite the whole family together, including your husband. Is that what you're asking, Liz?
Right.
Yeah. Good. Okay. It was just you were breaking up and I was trying to sort of piece together what you were saying. It's really interesting, Liz, because what they're sort of showing me that this is not impossible, and I want to be very clear on that, but I don't think your dream, your wish to reunite everybody is going to come just yet. I'm not seeing much hope of that before August this year, but I don't want you to sort of not continue to try and work on this and try and make it happen any sooner. That's just what they're showing me. When I say it's interesting, because I feel that there's been so much that's gone on in the time that you and your husband have been apart that I think it's almost like we need to, when we start to sort of reconnect again in a very strong way, it's like we've almost got to go back to the beginning. It's like he's got to get to know you and you've got to get to know him, because so much has happened, so much has changed. There's so many different ways of looking at things now. And what I pick up around you is, Liz, that you've become very, very strong. And you've become very definite in your opinions at what you like, what you don't like. And that's not a bad thing. I'm not criticising you. But what I'm saying is your husband has never seen you in this light before. It's almost, he sort of thinks, my goodness, I don't even know that I could compete with her. She's so strong. She's so forthright. She knows exactly what she wants. She's got a plan. She's got this. She's got that. And that's going to take him a little bit of time to get his head around. I'm not saying he doesn't like it, but he almost sort of feels that maybe he can't keep up with you or can't be the person that you want him to be. And you're not asking him to become a different person. What I feel you're asking of him is to be more open, is to sort of tell you what's going on in his head. You can't guess things, you need some communication. And I think communication was the biggest thing that caused this marriage to break down, was the fact that he wasn't able to express himself. So these are things that I think you can work on together. I mean, miracles don't happen overnight. Things take time. And, he has to relearn how to sort of be able to share and give of himself and tell you what's going on in his head. But I do know he loves you, and I do know he misses the family unit. So I do believe that there is real definite hope there. No matter what's gone on, we have an opportunity to start afresh and to build it in a much stronger way, where the two of you are a lot more comfortable with each other. It's sort of almost like a new acceptance of each other, where the things that used to annoy you or irritate you about each other before are they've disappeared. It's sort of like you both have a different sort of tolerance now moving forward. But I do feel when we do reunite the family and we get everybody back together again, I think there's going to be a big family decision made about whether or not we stay in that location, or do we look at a fresh start for, having a complete fresh start, whether it's, 2 blocks around the corner, or are we going to look at another location? I do feel that there will be talk of a move. It doesn't necessarily have to be a long distance, but I do think a fresh start is probably a good thing too. And also I feel that money this time will be structured differently, Liz. It's sort of like, it's more this time you're going to become a team, instead of one doing all the heavy lifting and the other one doing the complaining, or, not really having any input. This time the two of you will have sort of like equal footing in family decisions, including finances, which I think is a good thing, because a lot of it last time, Liz, seemed to fall on your shoulders. And, you don't need to carry all the burden. It needs to be a joint thing. So is there 3 girls there, Liz, that you've got, 3 daughters?
Yes, I got 4.
4. But is there 3 that you've been more concerned about than one that sort of seems, because it was, to me, it was the focus was on 3 of them. Like, if you've got another daughter, I didn't mean to exclude her, but it's like she's okay. She's handling everything.
Yep. Yeah, she's 18. Yep. You're correct. You're correct. Yeah.
Yeah, but the 3 younger ones were the ones that sort of, it's like, it's crucial that we get this right. We can't have this backwards and forwards business. It's got to be all or nothing.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Correct.
that's what you're putting across to your husband. It's like, it's, if we didn't have the girls, well, it'd be a different equation. We could see how things pan out. But this has got to be, it's got to be, we get back and we reunite the family once and for all, and that's how it stays. Like it can't be rushed. So, even though August sounds like a long time off, if we look at how we're going to build up to that point, that's when I think we're going to be sitting down and making the decision, about reuniting the family and where we go and how we do it, and making sure the girls are okay with it too, because they've been hurt through all this as well.
Yes. Oh my God, yes. It
needs to be big family feeling here. It's not just you or Dad. It's collective.
Yes.
And the girls have got to be. Yeah, and they've got a right to have their say too, even if it does hurt either one of you, to tell you what's going on in their heads too. This is, all part of the family healing. But I know you will reunite the family, Liz, and I know that, overall it will be predominantly happy. And I think it's going to be good because it's going to show the girls too that things don't always come easily and you've got to work at them and you've got to find solutions. So maybe it's a collective learning curve for everybody. Anyway, Liz, that's where we've got to leave it. We've come to the end of the show. So that was Liz. And it's always hard, isn't it, when, you've got a family situation that's not working out. And I know there's many families around the world that are going through what Liz and her family are going through. So all as we can do is ask people to sort of try and sort of be a little bit more understanding and try and, listen to the other person's point of view and try and reunite a family if you possibly can. It's, it's been a trying time these last couple of years, and I know lots of families have gone through some very, very difficult times. But now I think it's time that we need to just sort of open ourselves up and sort of look at what is really important. And I think at the end of the day, family and love trump everything. We can always go and make money, but if you've got love of a good family, solid unit, that's more important than anything else. If you've got love and your health, the rest can take care of itself. You don't need money to make you happy. So until next week, I want to leave you with a song with John Farnham called Don't You Know It's Magic. I think we could all do with a little bit of magic in our lives. So until next week, bye for now.